Good morning, football fans. Good morning, all. The Super League may have collapsed. There is major fallout to now contend with. There are apologies and all manner of fallout and accusations and issues to be addressed as we move forward. Do me a big favor and smash that like and that share button. All the Football Terrace is going to ensure that we do is that we keep you abreast of the information as and when it comes through, but we give you a hub and we give you a place, not just to listen to what other people have got to say, but for you to come along, for you to give your opinions and for you to put your thoughts and feelings front and center to make sure you get heard. Make sure you get heard. You see the comments here from Arsenal fans. Kroenke out. Enoch Levy out. FSG out. Morning, Terry. We need to force these owners out. I don't think any fan is now listening to these apologies and everything else that is coming through from everybody. 1 second, please, ladies and gentlemen. I just need to do one quick thing. Sorry. I don't think people are listening to what their owners have got to say. We're going to go through, John W. Henry has come out and given a groveling apology this morning. You see in the media really sort of praise and, well done City and well done Chelsea for pulling out. Gary Lineker has praised Manchester United for being people of substance, for withdrawing themselves from this situation. And for me, I still can't help but think there's a little bit of greed, a little bit of nepotism, and a little bit of self-interest at play here, but it's being wrapped up with great PR. And I don't think these clubs, as in the owners of these clubs and these boards, should be let off the hook so soon. The one thing I would say about it is very, very simple. This hasn't been a battle of good versus evil. This has been a battle of evil versus evil. You were talking about corrupt systems that only care about money and very rarely put the fans at the forefront of anything they do. They've been fighting each other. And if you look at both kind of statements from both sides of this argument, it's all been our fans and competition and blah, blah, blah. I've only taken what the managers and players have said seriously because the organizations do not care. We can't rest on our laurels now as a fan base. We have to continue to demand reform and demand change. Some of the rumors that are circulating this morning are very, very interesting indeed, to say the least. One of them that has come out is that the Premier League clubs have only returned to the Premier League based on money that has been given to them. A large amount of money has been offered to the Premier League clubs to return. This is actually a statement from the president, Alexander Ceferin, this morning. He said, it's admirable to admit a mistake. These clubs made a big mistake. They are back in the fold now and have a lot to offer, not just to our competition, but the whole of the European game. Important to move on, rebuild, and unity together. UEFA are going to let them off, and that's because UEFA are not going to punish them like they said. They're going to give them more money. The Premier League are not going to ban or punish or do anything to these clubs. They're probably going to give them more money. As we stated here on the Football Terrace, the very evening this broke, power play. This was all a power play, and these clubs have used it was a power play with a contingency. If they got offered what they were happy with from the Premier League and UEFA, they were going to return. And if it didn't happen, they had this opportunity to go elsewhere and earn even more money. So for the owners that don't care about football and don't care about the fans, it was very much win-win. It was very much win-win. And now this whole, you the fans, we've heard you, we've listened, we know what you want. Then why won't you listen to other things that we scream about? Why won't you listen to things that we say about sexism? Why won't you listen to things that we say about racism? Why won't you listen to us when we need cheaper tickets, cheaper travel? Why don't you fix the holes in the roof at Old Trafford? Why don't you buy the players that our squads need? Why have you had commercial-minded people running football operations for 8 years? Why do you continue to make these mistakes without consulting the fans first? If you spoke to fans before you made these decisions, you wouldn't make them. You keep telling us you're listening to us, but it's only ever after the fact that you care about what it is that we have got to say. It's the only time you care is after the fallout. You go to furlough staff, the fans kick off, you pull out of it. You go to increase ticket prices, fans kick off, you pull out of it. You try to create a Super League that nobody really likes, the fans kick off, you pull out of it. But are you pulling out of it really and truly because you care about the fans? I don't buy it. I don't buy it because you've made so many mistakes now as owners in this exact same way that if it really was about the fans, you would consult with the supporters ahead of time to ensure that these same mistakes didn't continue to happen week in, week out, day in, day out, month in, month out across the board. What you care about, and I'm talking about the top 2 or 3 people at these clubs, not the management, not the scouting system, not the fans. None. These people are not responsible. These people care about making money off of our game, growing their assets, growing their bank balances. That's it. Point blank. No more than that. And the reason why you saw the clubs pull out yesterday, in my heart of hearts, with a night to reflect on it, sponsors were pulling away. Multiple TV companies and broadcasters started to realize, God, this hasn't gone how we thought. Amazon Prime distancing itself from it. Multiple other streaming companies distancing themselves from it. It was a PR disaster. It was a fouled coup. It was a hostile negotiations and takeover attempt that horribly failed because you didn't think it through. And you didn't think it through because you have no idea about the game. You have no idea about you thought the global fan base was going to back you. You thought the global fan base was going to say, we don't go to games because we can't, geographical reasons. This is amazing. Man United Madrid, Man United Barcelona, Liverpool versus Juve. Every week, we are going to see these colossal games. The international fans will buy into it. The legacy fans can do one and will be okay. But the international fans are diehard supporters as well. They have fallen in love with the English, the Spanish, the German, the Italian games. They love their rich heritage and history that comes with it as well. And above and beyond all of that is the competitive nature of sport that makes it compelling. Yes, we want great passing, great skills, great tricks. But the drama of it being competitive, the dream that comes with it, is what binds it all together. And it doesn't matter whether you are English, Indian, Nigerian, American, Argentinian, Chilean, Australian, or from China. We all feel exactly the same way about this game football that we love. And you got it horribly wrong. And your groveling apologies are falling upon deaf ears because we are not listening. We are no longer listening to what you have to say. Now what we need, the fallout to happen, in the fallout, what we need to happen is for the government now in this country, and I hope the same in Spain and Italy follows suit. Reform needs to happen. The legal way to own a football club needs to change. The fans need to be given a voice. They need to be given a say. They need to be consulted every single step of the way, especially when it comes to major decisions. We cannot risk losing the game that we love. And for me, I said yesterday, and I'll stand by this, I was willing to wait for their responses. Let's wait for the full proposal. Let's wait and see what they actually have to say here, because maybe there's a golden nugget that we're yet to see, that's yet to be unveiled to us. When we see it, we may think, oh, well, jeopardy and promotion into the Super League comes in a year or two. Look how much money they're going to give to grassroots, etc., etc., etc. There was nothing. Because if that existed, they could present it and show everybody the color of their money, and that it was an integral, competitive, morality-based competition, and that they were not corrupt. They were not going to create a closed shop. They were not going to behave in the very same way they're criticizing the Premier League, UEFA, La Liga, Serie A, and FIFA. And by the way, those entities have no sympathy. They are just as corrupt, just as money hungry, and care only about that element of the game as opposed to the fans. So there's no sympathy with them. So the first bit of reform needs to be the way clubs are structured and owned. And then the governments need to come in and start looking at these organizations, these supposed impartial, independent organizations that run these sports, And we need to ensure that the money is spread more equally, the competition is as fair as you like, that we enable more than ever the little man to become the big man. We need to enable that the small club can become the big club. That dream needs to exist. And the irony in all of this, because this was very much American-led, what doesn't sit right to me, and I'd love a response here from an American viewer, because I am talking about your culture here. Where does this sit within the American dream? I thought that's what your country was built upon, that anyone can become anything they want. This is just disgusting. This is the nasty, disgusting end of capitalism. I'm glad that it's coming to an end, but we can't stop now. This is step one. We are going to take your calls this morning. I want to have your say about everything that's going on right now. We have a super chat that says, remove the US owners first. As I say, it's not about them being from America. Them being American is inconsequential because lots of Americans don't agree with what they've done. One of the biggest, maybe the biggest American company in the world, Amazon, said no to this idea. Sponsors from America pulled away. It's not about the nationality of anybody taking over. It's their intentions. It's their wants. It's their desires. That has to stop. All the Ronnie says things can't be allowed to go back to normal. Change has to happen. Ownership responsibility, making clubs more responsible in their communities, and better governance to stop them going into debt. Absolutely, categorically right there. There's no doubt. Thank you, Felix, for becoming an Academy member of the channel this morning. That means a great deal. Thank you very, very much. Still lots of FSG outs and everything else along the line. Share the link. I'm with you. I'll be sharing the link in just a few short moments. I want to take a look at John W. Henry's apology. And there's so much news still coming through on this. It's astronomical this morning as well. Inter Milan this morning have pulled out of this competition. It's true. There's a comment here that says draconian punishments to the Big Six are unlikely. At yesterday's Premier League meeting, the view was that fans, staff, and players are the victims in this too. And that's exactly, again, it was so easy to predict this, and it's right. There shouldn't be punishment to these clubs, because yesterday we spoke about how it's these players and these clubs and the badge and the fans that have been screwed over. Punishing the clubs now after they've pulled out is just punishing those same very people. Where the punishment needs to come in is reform and change in the way clubs should be run, owned, and how the governing bodies manage the game. That is how you punish these individuals. Do you know why? Man United getting a 10-point points deduction means nothing to Joel Glazer. Doesn't give a damn, because he doesn't care about where we finish in the league. He cares about money. The true way you hit him financially. And if we get fined 10 million quid, he takes it out of the transfer kitty, not his own. It doesn't hurt anybody but the fans. What you need to do is change the way they can own the club, what they can take out of the club. You can't get blood from a stone. That is what needs to happen in these scenarios, in my very, very humble opinion. Thank you very much, sir, for becoming a member here of the channel. Means a great deal to me. We've got some more super chats to do here. I'd love your opinions on this. Owners that aren't using the club as their main business are the best for teams. That is the issue with Arsenal United, how the owners view the club. Couldn't agree with you more. Whenever an owner's first point of call is how much money can I make, you're doomed. You're doomed. But Terry, look at Arsenal, Liverpool, and United with American owners. It's very bleak. It's not because they're American. It's how they run in America. Well, that's the point. Again, the nationality of the individual isn't the bother for me. It's the intentions of the individual, how they structure the club and what they're doing to it. That, for me, is of the most paramount importance. We're going to take a look now at what John Henry has had to say. We're going to put this up on the screen, and we're going to play this for you now.
I want to apologize to all the fan supporters of Liverpool Football Club for the disruption I caused over the past 48 hours. Goes without saying, but should be said, that the project put forward was never going to stand without the support of the fans. No one ever thought differently in England. Over these 48 hours, you were very clear that it would not stand. We heard you. I heard you. And I want to apologize to Jurgen, to Billy, to the players, and to everyone who worked so hard at LFC to make our fans proud. They have absolutely no responsibility for this disruption. They were the most disrupted, and unfairly so. This is what hurts most. They love your club and work to make you proud every single day. I know the entire LFC team has the expertise, leadership, and passion necessary to rebuild trust and help us move forward. More than a decade ago, when we signed up for the challenges associated with football, we dreamed of what you dreamed of, and we've worked hard to improve your club. Our work isn't done, and I hope you'll understand that even when we make mistakes, we're trying to work in your club's best interests. In this endeavor, I've let you down. Again, I'm sorry, and I alone am responsible for the unnecessary negativity brought forward over the past couple of days. It's something I won't forget, and shows the power that fans have today and will rightly continue to have. If there's one thing this horrible pandemic has clearly shown, it's how crucial fans are to our sport and to every sport. It's shown in every empty stadium. It's been an incredibly tough year for all of us, virtually no one unaffected. It's important that the Liverpool football family remain intact, vital, and committed to what we've seen from you globally with local gestures of kindness and support. I can promise you I will do whatever I can to further that. Thanks for listening.
That was what he had to say. I saw by the comment section that most of you are not buying that. It just feels like empty words to me. I did say last night that I didn't think there would be huge apology. And now there is, and nobody's buying it anyway. I actually think the worst thing they can do is apologize, because it feels empty. Nobody believes what they're saying. It's scripted, it's rehearsed, it's corporate, and nobody listens to corporate apologies ever. I don't like apologies like that either, because I want to see change. I want to see, do you know what? I want to see John W. Henry come out and say, we are sorry for what we did, and for that, we have now started the process of making the fans part owners of this football club. We're not waiting for the government to come in and tell us to do it. We are going to make it a part of the course, because he just said it's your club. But yet there's going to be more decisions like this moving forward. There is absolutely no doubt about it whatsoever, in my opinion. And, you know, there's lots of stories as well. There's one here this morning from Sky's James Cooper, that the European Super League was a factor that pushed forward Ed Woodward leaving Manchester United. They tried to spin it that he was leaving anyway, and he may very well have been leaving anyway, but this was partly his brainchild, and it absolutely fell apart. Sky Sports also saying today that a Super League style European competition is likely to happen, but it's more so likely to happen under the guise of UEFA. This needs to be looked at very, very carefully, because, you know, there could be a wolf in sheep's clothing here, and I think that's very much what has been going on. Other reports this morning: Man United yesterday, they said may be up for sale. There's a contrast. There's a contrast to this moving forward. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how that kind of plays out in the coming days, weeks, months, etc., etc., etc. I'm going to open up the lines very soon for you all to come on and have your say. Thank you, Sammy, for becoming a member of the Football Terrace, third new member of the morning, which is absolutely amazing. We do actually have something coming down the line for members very, very soon, which we're excited about, very, very excited about. Lots of new exclusivities, brand new social groups that are private for you that I'll be addressing because of our new partnership with Snack Media. I will be going into this full time, meaning I'm going to have a lot more time to spend with you, our wonderful viewers, and some of the shows we've got planned, some of the live events that we're planning as well. Members are going to have exclusive access to, along with normal viewers as well. So get yourself signed up as a member right about now, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be epic. Let's do some more of your comments here, because I really want to focus on them today. Connor says, American owners aren't the problem. American businessmen are the downfall. Example, Atlanta United, Austin FC, English football cannot and will not be a business model. Checks and balances needed. Connor, I think you're absolutely right. As I've said, I don't look at this as an American issue with our sport. It's the bad side of capitalism damaging the sport that we love. There's no doubt about it now. I think a lot of people sat on the fence in the last few days, and I certainly did that at times because I wanted to see the wood for the trees. After my initial anger, it's okay, let's wait and see what they say. Maybe we're missing something. Maybe there's an opportunity for growth and development, blah, blah, blah. There wasn't. Paul Ross here says, you know they are going to do it again, but this time letting us know in a different way. I bet for the lower leagues, this they'll give it a few years. Now, listen, I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all. Thank you very much for signing up. 21 this morning means a great deal. Mr. Anthony says, I can forgive Roman. He has given us so much for us. He has managed our club well and run it well. Not sure if other clubs can say that. I certainly understand why Manchester City and Chelsea fans will be more forgiving than the rest. I do completely and utterly understand the logic behind that thought. There's no different. Sanjay Hussain, thank you very much for becoming an Academy member of the Football Terrace. That means a great deal to us today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're looking at some other news here this morning as well that I wanted to go through. Man United, of course, now have a vacancy. At the club. Ed Woodward has resigned, as we know. As it stands right now, Richard Arnold, who already currently sits at the football club, is likely to move. He's Man United's managing director. He is likely to move into the position of Ed Woodward. But what the reports are also suggesting is that in the short to medium term time span, he will only take care of the commercial elements, and John Myrtle will pick up far more of the football responsibilities, which is kind of what we wanted to see anyway. And I'm not overly fussed by that as it stands right now, but we still need to get the reform in until the owners change. It isn't going to be overtly dramatic, but Ed Woodward leaving is certainly a good sign for everybody involved. There is absolutely no doubt about that in my mind whatsoever. Let's do some more of your comments. I'm going to open the lines in a few moments for you to come on and have your say. Remember, big shout out to Manscaped, our title sponsors. You can still get 20% off of all their male grooming products right now. The offer ends at the end of this month, so make sure you go and get yourself signed up for that right about now. This UEFA and FIFA slander is embarrassing. I'd love to know what you mean by that, bro. I'd love to know what you mean by that. Sammy says, what a few days in football. You know what, Sammy? You're absolutely right. I went to bed last. My throat right now is ripped to shreds. My eyes hurt. My head hurts. I feel exhausted because of it. You know, covering it and reading about it, researching it, talking to so many people about it. But I felt this sense of togetherness with football fans, and it was great. I now just want to see that on a much more regular basis now. I want to see this on other matters in football. First and foremost, Islamophobia, racism, sexism. We need to stand up far more regularly and together as a club. And you know what I said to you all before? And maybe other YouTubers have said this, but I know that I've been saying it for many, many years on this channel. Self-policing. Self-policing is critical. If your club does something wrong, it will be attacked by others. Don't defend it. If you know it's wrong, push back as well. They listen. Or they're told us they're listening. We'll see. We need to stand together on far more wider and greater issues than the Super League proposal. And of course, we need this reform to come in. It'd be lovely for the clubs to reform it themselves or the league to do it. But I do think government intervention is going to be needed. For the first time in my life, I've seen all political parties in complete and utter agreement about the reform of club ownership. And that reform of club ownership, by the way, can pave the way to helping to stop and eradicate from the game, or at the very least, punish things adequately in relation to the bigotry elements we mentioned earlier, because the fans will actually have a say. The fans will have a control. The fans will be able to air an opinion. And all of this is very, very, very important indeed. A few people here saying Van der Sar in. Maybe that's the option now. You know, if we're not going to get rid of the Glazers, at least bring someone in that's going to be brilliant at running the football club. Thank you very much here to 105 for becoming an official academy member of the Football Terrace. It means a great deal to us. So thank you very, very much indeed. We're going to open up the line now for you to come on and have your say. Really intrigued to hear what your opinions are this morning in relation to all the new breaking news and what happened yesterday. You may not have had the chance to phone in. I'm going to share the link in the comments section below, and we're going to put it in the Discord server. I'm going to go and open the Discord server now, to be fair. So that's open, ready, and available for you guys. I'm going to go and get that done right this second. You can call in. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you're thinking and you're feeling. I'm going to put it into the general chat box over there on Discord. Some of you are some of you stay in the Discord server whilst you're watching the stream, which is I always find it really humbling, actually. That's been shared now in the Discord server as well. We've got some super chats to do here first. Nick P. Long time, Nick P. I haven't seen you in a while, Nick. Welcome back to the channel, my friend. Terry, maybe I'm ignorant here, but what have the Liverpool owners done wrong prior to this? Taken them to a title, made them the jewel of the Premier League. I'm a United fan who looked on with envy. It's things like trying to increase ticket prices, furloughing staff as an example. There's no doubt that they help create a very, very good team. But there are side issues. And do you know what I would say to Liverpool fans? I respect them. Because I've seen with a lot of football fans in years gone by, if their club has them winning, they often don't care about the morality or the behavior of the ownership or of the running of their football club. What I think is very honorable about Liverpool fans is they've been turned back into one of the best teams in Europe, but they're still condemning their owners' bad behaviors. That's integrity for you. And that deserves nothing but respect, in my opinion, Nick. And I think that's the way I'm viewing it from an outsider to Liverpool looking in. Massive credit to all the fan channels. You help bring us all together to fight this, stand up and take a bow. You know what, Wayne? I appreciate the sentiment. And, you know, we had a number of sort of YouTubers come on and, of course, phone callers. But I think it's you, the fans, that deserve the credit because you watch us. And without you watching us, the message wouldn't have got out. You know, you're sharing our streams. People are phoning up and giving their opinions. We shared so many of your phone calls over the last few days with Give Me Sport. They got integrated into their articles. Hundreds of thousands of people see that. That message then gets relayed back and it inspires other people. So you, the fans, should feel so proud of yourselves for standing up and making yourselves be heard. My only ask is that you do this now on wider, bigger, and greater issues. Continue the good fight in the right places at the right time. Rebecca Butterfield here says American businesses always talks competition but acts to monopolize. We're used to it in the US. Well done for stopping them. Past protective legislation. That's what's now needed. You're absolutely right. Legislation is needed. Change is needed. Reform is needed in abundance. We're going to start going to the lines here. First up on the show, we've got man like Jesse that we're going to get on with us this morning. Welcome back to the show, mate. What do you want to say? That's a serious mic you've got. That's the one I want to buy next.
Yeah, dude.
I see that's Joe Rogan's mic. That's how I look at that one.
Yeah, you just got to block out the sponsor here. Yeah, watch out for that. Yeah, exactly. So I actually posted yesterday. I was talking about the 50+1. Big up Rebecca. What you just said, by the way, I can't exactly remember what you were saying, but support that and all. Yeah. So I mentioned this yesterday, and I said, forget the fucking Saudis. Excuse my language. 50+1 is what we need because ultimately, I just think it's about, especially for Manchester United, getting the actual revenue stream back in the hands of the fans.
Yep.
For Manchester United, right? So I'm more for that than I am for bringing in random owners. We already know the FA is not gonna fucking. I mean, they're so dubious on their checks as far as owner management gets. I wouldn't trust them with any of that.
No, I hear you, bro. The 50+1 Paul Jess is the exact way to go now. And this will prove to us whether these owners truly care about the fans. We care about you. It's your club. Well, give us part of the club then. You know, I actually think fans would be far less forgiving of dividends and these types of actions, us being used as an asset elsewhere. If you could see that there was a genuine want to make us the best football teams in the world, I think that these elements, you can compromise them in. We don't want them, and I'm not endorsing them, but there's always that element of, I don't like that part, but you know what? We do get treated very, very well. If Liverpool Football Club, at the very least, just consulted with their fans prior to making some of these horrendous decisions in the last few years, there'd be less anger towards them. It'd be like, listen, we don't think that's a good idea because of X, Y, and Z. And if John Henry went, you're right, you know what? You've educated me there. Thank you. And then they didn't make the decision, there'd be respect. Because I think at time, of course, when you run any organization, at times there needs to be an air of sort of an autocratic movement where somebody makes a decision above and beyond everything else. But there are moments that need to be democratic, and there are moments that need forums and education and opinion before you make decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but they're not doing that because they don't actually care. They make the decisions. If the fallout's bad, we're really sorry, we messed up. We love you. This is all for you. We've revoked it. And the media coverage in Britain this morning is like celebrating the U-turn by praising the owners and the board members. And I just think to myself, how misguided are you?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and they're misguided on way too many levels. What do you think about the supposed rumors of a payout and Liverpool's sponsor loss?
Money has been a huge and key driver in this process. There's no doubt. I said the first thing I said about this when we went live the other day was, this sounds to me like a power play. Too much information came out too quickly. The world changed too quickly. There was a website straight away, but there was no real detail. And that just told me they were playing a trump card and they were going to see if it's come off. And I actually think, forget how it feels to us as fans, I think they've won right now. UEFA are going to pay them more money. I think the Premier League are eventually going to yield and let them negotiate maybe their own international TV rights. Something's going to happen because you've already seen the response from the Premier League and from UEFA. They've basically said, "Oh, we're here. We're going to forgive and forget," and they're going to forgive and forget because they know they can't operate without the big six. But in itself, that shows they have no backbone. It shows that they don't really want to reform anything. They just want to keep the money coming through their coffers. So what's now needed is government intervention to stop this from happening, to make sure that the fans are put at the forefront of this, because they've got fans by the short and curlies. Fans will not walk away because of how much they love these football clubs. It's almost it reminds me of the Austin Powers film. I'm sad because I'm fat. I'm fat because I eat too much, and I eat too much because I'm sad. It becomes it becomes that vicious circle, and that's where we are right now. And it takes an independent body, boom, to come in and smash that and break that and put us back in the front. Jess,
yeah, wait, one thing before you let me go. Hey, I just had a little note about domestic participation. Man, if you live around Tampa Bay, wherever you are, just you can protest out here too. I hate this thought, especially given the fact that lots of these globalist owners are American. Granted, they are, but if you can, start setting up groups and go protest them. Anyways, yeah, Terry, I'm out of here.
Absolutely right. Bro, I appreciate all your support for the channel, mate. You're a top man. Thank you very, very much, Jess. All the best, bro. Thank you. Good Glenwill here says, it's been a crazy week from witnessing Mason Greenwood equal Wayne Rooney's youth goal record. I didn't know he did that. That's amazing. To celebrating City's fouled quadruple attempts, to standing up against the Super League. It has been a crazy week, and there've been games in the last 2 days as well. Man City and Spurs play huge games tonight, which we, of course, will be covering here on the Football Terrace. There's no doubt about it. Let's keep going through some of these super chats here. Lots of things to get said. Jesse here, sorry, Jerome here. Morning, sir. Says, Terry, for me, it's not all well and done because of the greed of Tottenham has shown. I believe Daniel Levy should resign and Joe Lewis should sell because Spurs fans will never trust them again. Damage is irreversible. And Jerome, I hear you on that. I think so many fans agree with you. I think so many fans are on board with that, it's going to be very difficult for these owners to regain the trust of supporters. Absolutely no doubt about it whatsoever. Thank you, sir, for that super chat. It means a great deal to me. Let's keep going forward here. Man United Blue Moons is the colour. Tottenham Hotspur are back in the Super League this morning, Terry. Are you lying to me? That can't be true. That can't be true. I don't believe that for a second. If anyone's got a link, let me know. David here, one of our members, says 51% needs to be safe in the senses it cannot be bought out. Yeah, absolutely. These things need to be legislated, rubber stamped, cast ironed, and completely and utterly sealed from any tampering. There's no doubt about it. Paul Ross with a super chat here. You know how bad things look on smaller American companies if you really want to trade with UK dealers and in Europe from just this, because this has gone worldwide. This should be a worry for future businesses there. Yeah, the globalization of some elements of trade and business on this planet, I'm not going to profess to be an expert on it because I'm not, but you always hear of these insidious, evil approaches that need to be reformed and need to be stopped. You really, really do. Message to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. The time is now. Will you die as a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain? Your move. It's interesting. I've seen Ole's name mentioned a lot this morning from Ole Outers. A lot of Ole Outers have kind of suggested that Ole would have supported the Glazers' move if Man United would have gone forward with things. What I find really interesting is that we have no idea what Ole was thinking or feeling, but yet people are judging him based on what they think he might have done. Let's wait and see what Ole's got to say. I'm pretty sure Ole would not have supported this. The only managers that have spoken out in press conferences that they had ahead of games. So most managers haven't spoken about this who haven't had football matches to prepare for. So why are we singling out Ole? I don't think that's fair at all. If I'm being honest with you, Nikhil, I really, really don't. I really, really don't. Let's do some more calls here. We're going to go to Pav now. Pav, morning, mate. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's been a weird few days. Like, none of us have probably ever experienced something like this in a sport in world. I'll probably never see it again happen. But yeah, I mean, some good things are coming out of it. I still think like people like the FA, UEFA, TV companies, I think it probably benefits them more. But yeah, there's some good things come out of it. I mean, Jose Mourinho is the first European Super League manager to ever be sacked. And Arsenal can probably claim another invincible season now as well. So, like I said, there's some good things to come out of it, some funny things. But what I'm more concerned about now is, are the Glazers going to sell, or are they just going to sit back and let the new CEO run the club and there's just keep taking dividends? Because we need to sell, but who's going to buy our club when the Glazers aren't going to sell for a few billion? Like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to profess to be an expert on this, but it depends whether these 50+1 rules are going to come in. It depends on what caps are there. Remember, if there's going to be a 50+1 rule, my feeling is that the valuation of the club will drop because at the moment it's a business, and if somebody wanted to buy it, they could buy the whole thing, barring the shares. Well, they could buy everything, right? Theoretically, they could become sole owners of the football club in terms of the shares that actually have voting rights. So they could buy all of that. If that's removed and the only way you can buy it is becoming a 49% owner, meaning that you can't make decisions without fan sign-off, it's a less lucrative proposition as a business because it's a sports club you're running, which I think it will reduce, as I say, the valuation, meaning that you can buy it for less money. You may be able to raise a consortium. You may be able to get a consortium together of wealthy people that care about the football element to put enough money together to buy it. I'm sure you could do that. This may also, the Glazers might look at this, and if the reform came in and they couldn't take their dividends and use us as assets anymore, they probably wouldn't want Man United. Because what's the point if they can't make the money off it they're here to make? So let's wait and see what the reform looks like, if there's going to be any reform. If those things come in, I can see it being sold. If none of that changes, the Glazers will just stay. They'll just keep making what they were making and running it in the same way.
It's like I don't see the valuation coming down if the UEFA and Premier League are giving a bigger pie to these clubs, because if there's more money coming in, the valuation goes up. So it's kind of like the Glazers, if they did want to sell, they'd look for the biggest package coming into them. They wouldn't just give it to the fans on the cheap. They want top dollar. They want what the club's worth, or even more. I just wanted to ask a quick question before I go.
Yep.
Do you think this is going to have an impact on our club in the summer for transfers with what's happened now?
I don't know. I worry it will. I worry that.
But yeah, that's the same as me. I worry.
Yeah, I worry a club like Dortmund. I worry a club like Dortmund might say, we're going to stick you on a Jadon Sancho deal now as payback, and we'll see what happens. There's a few comments here saying, Terry, it's 50% plus one member. Sorry, my apologies for getting the math on it wrong. I get what you mean, like the half of it as an example, and of course the 1% fan membership. But it may my point remains, I think, that it may still devalue the club because they get less control over it. They can't make the same decisions. They don't have the same unyielding power. That could definitely change things. But I hear what you're saying there. Apologies for getting that wrong. Pab, thank you very much for calling up, mate, and having your say. Really appreciate that, mate. Thank you very much indeed. Super chat here says the Glazers have a work permit, don't they? Boris and the government, UEFA, has to take it out. They do, but that doesn't stop them owning the club just because they can't come here. They can just Zoom call in. That won't change anything. What they need to change is the laws around club ownership, etc. Let's do a few more calls here. Sanja Hussein, one of our brand new members today's phoned in. What do you want to say, bro?
Hi Terry, I hope you're doing well.
I'm very good, sir.
Yeah, and it's been very crazy last few days. I've never seen it. It's like Pav said, it's been crazy. Unlucky for Arsenal fans. They're not going to get money, but, I was looking forward to seeing them get snapped up like 6-0 every week, but that's not going to happen. The thing with the footballing infrastructure that I have an issue with, right, is that I think the issue with the clubs outside of England, I think bar United, because Manchester United have a lot of debt, I think financially they might have seen this European Super League and thought to themselves, okay, maybe this is a good idea for us. But we don't obviously know if they would actually pay off the debts or not. Sorry.
Yep.
But the thing I want to say is the other foreign clubs, like you look at the Serie A clubs, you look at the Bundesliga clubs. The first place clubs in those leagues make less money from winning the championship than the 20th place clubs in the Premier League. And I think that in general, there's just an issue with footballing infrastructure. And I know that Premier League, it's very good with the marketing. There's no doubt. But it's just when you have these kind of things, it just creates a larger issue. And that's why this European Super League had these clubs of interest like Inter Milan. They have a lot of depths. There's other Italian clubs as well, like AC Milan, who are trying to make a revival. Then the German clubs initially, they were interested, but they backed out because of 50+1. And that's another thing, though. With clubs like Manchester United that are in debt, Arsenal, all the top 6 clubs have some sort of debt. 50+1 has shown in Germany that it can clear off these debts if done properly. And that's why I want to see this kind of infrastructure in the country, because that's only going to help Manchester United. And if the Glazers do sell, the issue is now who's going to get these shares, because obviously everybody knows that Manchester United, there's more issues than just the debt. There's still issues with the stadium at Old Trafford. There's still other issues regarding, all the other transfer fees and whatnot that still have to be paid off. And yeah, just in general, like, it's a good thing that this European Super League has been stopped, but we have to look more into the infrastructure of surrounding the clubs, surrounding the footballing leagues and whatnot.
Absolutely spot on. Could not agree with you more. Great call great call from yourself this morning, mate. Really was. Thank you very, very much for coming on, having your say. The infrastructure is what needs to change now for all manner of reasons. Everyone who's been tuning in this morning, please hit that like button right now. Let's get this past 1,000 likes while we're live on the air, please. It's important to get done. Next on the show, we have got Realist on the show. What you say, buddy?
I just want to say, Terry, first of all, pick up yourself.
Thank you, bro.
The power they've given to fans, the voice has been absolutely amazing. So don't shy away from the praise, Terry. You totally deserve it. Anyway,
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anyway, I just want to say, I've always said, the European Super League is the league we never wanted, but it's the reaction and the fallout we needed. Because these owners, the Glazers, the Conkeys, they've been destroying football clubs for too long. They've destroyed Arsenal, they've destroyed United, and it's been absolutely nothing short of disgusting. I've never seen nothing like it in my life. It's been absolutely toxic. I just hope they sell it.
I hear you on that, and I think a lot of people have had that same sentiment in recent times. That recent times, that the clubs in themselves, may now find themselves in a much worse situation than before, or before when this all begun. So they may, again, if the reform comes in like we're talking about, if the fallout is this big, then what you may find is that these clubs end up being forced into selling or changing the ownership structures, and they lose a lot of the power and they might walk away. That's what I hope happens here. I hope that it backfires monumentally against the owner, not against the fans, not against you and I, but it backfires against them, and the government actually step up. And again, but where I don't have faith in that is, say with the government, is the government might have just done all this to grandstand, and we've got the key stage 1 level's done. They've stopped the Super League, and then the government just walks away and is like, well, we don't care. We no longer care to make changes because we invested. We only wanted to stop the Super League for PR reasons, and we'll see what happens, bro.
Terry, I just want to say something. I just want to say something to end it. Please, 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 everyone, if you're an Arsenal fan, there's a protest at 6 p.m. at the Emirates just before the Everton game at Friday. So if you can make it, please be there. Thank you, Terry.
Top man, thank you very much indeed. There are protests outside the Emirates on Friday. There's protests at Old Trafford on Saturday. If you're able to get to them, make sure you are there. Next on the show, we've got Ramel. Ramel, welcome back to the channel, bro. I think Ramel's system might have frozen. Ramel isn't there. Maybe he'll call back in a few moments. We've got man like Indiana with us here. Morning, mate. How are you?
Morning. All good. Thank you. You?
Yeah, not too bad, buddy. I mean, it's been a whirlwind few days. Give me your thoughts this morning.
First thing I want to say is I want to touch on the protests. And I want to say COVID is still a thing. So do it, but be responsible about it. The other thing is we got Man United Liverpool coming up. Manchester United play Liverpool. We should be showing a united front against these owners, against corruption in football. We should be showing that together. What if the 2 biggest clubs in England were to come together and protest? That would be a thing. That would be a show of force for me. In fact, I think every club should be doing it. I think every club should be saying this. All the fans should be doing it. We don't want this in football. Again, I've been saying forever with the Glazers, they're not just going to ruin Manchester United. They'll ruin football. They will ruin football.
Yeah. No,
go to the protest, people. Just be responsible. Do you know what I mean? Keep your distance. Do what you can with that.
I hear you on that, and it's still an important message with everything that's going on in the world right now. There's no doubt about it. I'm a bit like you. The worry in the back of my mind is that everything now just starts to slow down and people stop focusing, they stop looking, they stop care. It's okay now, and we kind of go back to normal. That tends to be what it feels like. Yesterday felt like election time in the UK or America, where all the promises have changed and what could happen, and everyone gets excited, they protest, they vote, and everything else, and then the dust settles, and you might look back in a few months and you think, has anything actually changed? Like for us on the ground floor, has anything really changed? Like, nah, it's the same. I've worked in multiple big companies where reform and change and new cultures are going to be introduced and new leaders, and everyone's excited, and you sort of look back, you review it in 3 months, and does anyone feel any different here at work? No. That's my kind of concern here, with this kind of approach and everything else. And I hope there is the reform that people are demanding and everything else along those lines. 1 second here. Sorry, I've just had an email come through. I just got to go through. So yeah, it's an interesting one. It's a real interesting one for me to see how that's gonna kind of motor forward and stuff like that, mate. In terms of the Woodward resignation,
Yeah.
Woodward's going. There's talk of, I think it's, I think I've actually now forgot his name. I want to say it's Richard Arnold, who's already at the club replacing him. Do you think much is going to change at Man United with Ed Woodward leaving, or is it still a case of the Glazers have still got to go for there to be universal change?
I mean, my worry is that Ed Woodward is so good commercially that we could have the same problems, but not be as good in terms of the commercial aspect of the club. We could actually be worse off. I don't think much changes until the Glazers are gone, Terry. Like the Glazers pushed this forward. This was a plan that was going to happen. Ed Woodward was one of the architects in the ESL happening, but the Glazers wanted it to happen sooner. That's the point here. It is they pushed for this to happen. Although Ed Woodward was a massive part in it, the Glazers are still there. Kroenke's still at Arsenal.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? And now UEFA have offered them a load of money to stay in the leagues, to not do the ESL. So they've got what they wanted in a way. Do you know what I mean? It's mad. It's madness.
Which is why the changes need to come, because otherwise nothing changes. It just remains in the same circumstance that it was already in, and all this energy, all this angst, all this anger, all this frustration changes. And like I said earlier, you know, there are other elements of fight that we have to put forward in this game for huge issues. You know, the Islamophobia, racism, sexism, etc. Fans having more say and control.
Yep.
Independent sort of governing bodies, or what's the word I'm looking for here? Like the FCA in banking, regulators managing these organizations makes it easier to do that. And we have to keep pushing for these reforms, but these reforms have to include all of these elements as far as I'm concerned, mate. I really, really do, mate. Listen, bro, thank you for calling in this morning, having your say. Indiana means a great deal to us. Top man, thank you. We've got Dark Side User. Long time no speak to Dark Side User on the Football Terrace. Morning, how are you?
Easy, mate. Not too bad, thanks.
Yeah, good. What do you want to say?
Yeah, first of all, now everyone's giving Man City and Chelsea kudos for pulling out. I think they share as equal blame as everybody else, as they all knew what they was going into and they all had pound signs. So nobody should be coming out of this with a pat on the back. And hopefully we can learn from this now, because we've always been saying something bad's going to happen in football, and now we've seen this. Now this has come from the birth, in my opinion, from the Premiership and the amount of money that is in the Premiership. Now I think one thing that needs to happen is a reform financially across the whole of European football with wage structure. Then that can feed back down to the fans, because let's be honest, everything gets put onto the consumer. So when a player's getting paid 300 grand a week, that has to be paid by somebody. Nobody needs that kind of money. Nobody. 100 grand a week should be the cap.
Yep.
You know what I mean, Terrace?
I hear you. I hear you. And what players earn doesn't bother me. Where the money comes from does. So if you've got enough money to pay a player 300, 400 grand a week, do a program. Anyone who's had a season ticket for over 25 years, you know what? It's free now for the rest of your life. Make some kind of offer. Do something for fans where you're giving back. Do a kind of deal and say, do you know, if we can afford to play 4 or 5 of our players £250,000 a week, we can afford to subsidize travel for away games for our fans. So rather than 5,000 people leaving Manchester to go to London and the train travel costing them on average £120 each, the ticket costing them £50-60 each, so that's 200 quid practically gone before they've bought a drink, before they've bought a bit of food. Work a deal out so the whole away package, including your travel, costs £50. Do something for the fans. There are little things they can do that would go a hell of a long way, and they just refuse ultimately to do it. Football is going to keep increasing how much money it gets from TV. As these streaming companies come in, it's going to go up. If the next TV deal gives all the Premier League clubs an extra 80, 90, 100 million a year, don't charge fans to come to games. Give something back within reason. Give something back. At least make the fans feel valued. At least make them feel like you're doing something for them. That's kind of my issue with all of this. Is we increase the money, the players earn more, and I respect that. Agents earn more, owners get more. Everybody's earning, but the fans continue to pay more. Do something for us. That has to be what happens. Darkside User, thanks for your call, mate. Really appreciate that, buddy. Thank you. Next on the show, man like Ramsey is here from Neek Sports. What's going on, bro?
Yo, what's happening, bro? What's happening? You good?
Mate, it's been a crazy 48 hours or so. Give me your take on it, mate.
Boy, first of all, we need to stay on their necks. We need my first thought when I see this last night is stay on their necks. You know, we've got a massive change, partly due to Sky, partly due to the pundits, but mainly due to the fans, mainly due to us standing up and saying, no, we don't want this. But stay on their necks. Woodward's gone. And like, as much as I don't like that for Man United because of what it could mean for Man United, you could be bringing in someone else. You might be able to work. But we know the problems he's had for your club. But for football reasons, we need this happen. I want the Glazers out. I want FSG out, and I want Kroenke out for the good of football. You know what I mean? Just to make football a better place. And so the way I'm on it, I'm like, right, cool. We've done that. We've stopped the Super League. Now let's start getting on these owners next. Let's get them out. Let's get them out one by one. Don't let them have their say. They're cheeky because they've done this during a place where they know that we can't be in the stadium screaming their name to get out. They know that we ain't going to be there in the terraces. They know that. And when you think about it, we go back into stadiums in what, less than a month's time. This was they had to do it now. It was now or never. It was now or never. They had to do it whilst we ain't there to make noise. But little did they know that our noise will raise through the YouTube streams, through the on-site protests. Like, we're getting at them, and they can't stop us.
It shows how out of touch. Do you know what? It shows how out of touch they are. And equally, if fans were at stadiums, there would have been pitch invasions, and they would have stormed those boxes.
100%.
The angle was clear that you could just tell that's what they would have done. It would have been, we are not having this. And you might have 100 stewards and 50 police officers, but they ain't stopping us. We are pushing through, and we're getting to you. And I'm not saying it would have hurt anybody. It would have just been to intimidate and to put pressure on and stuff like that. And that's why I don't listen to any of the two things that have annoyed me this morning. Is one, the Gary Linekers, the Mails, the Daily Mails, and all the other newspapers praising these owners for their U-turns. And the reason they're doing that is they don't want to lose access and privileges to these clubs from a commercial standpoint, you know? Yeah. And that's why they're doing it. That's wound me up, because how dare you praise someone for now? If they go away and make these reforms and these changes without government intervention, maybe we can start to look at it and say, okay, you know what? They have listened. But they're not listening. They're just giving an empty apology. The other element is well, I suppose I'm happy about this, is people taking the moral high ground. Football, they said, died 2 days ago. I'm seeing like Chelsea fans, we the saviors of football. City fans like, no, we were actually first to do it. You know, everyone's fighting amongst themselves again now. There's a part of me going, oh, at least football's back. Do you know what I mean? It was it's kind of nice to see, but they're definitely the way they're trying to spin it, that these clubs have done the right thing and we should be praising them for it. I can't be having that. I can't be having
that. They wouldn't have done it if we didn't get at them. Like, a lot of people are saying, a lot of the reports are saying that, you know, partly due to Klopp and Bamford and Milner and people like Pep coming out and speaking out against it as well. It's all made a difference, and it has. But if they didn't, then these owners wouldn't be making the movements that they are. Because in America, that will pass through. In America, they will plant up this franchise, and the American people will buy it and get sold by the dream of it being an amazing thing. Whereas in Europe, in England in particular, we don't care for that. We don't care for none of that. Like, we don't buy into their own franchise and their own doing their own things. And like, the same media that got at them needs to now keep on their necks and get them out. Gary Neville and Carragher's, you know, that they were openly saying Glazers out and FSG needs to go. Like, that doesn't need to stop now. Just because they've changed their mind doesn't need to stop. That needs to carry on. Like, we need to keep that same energy for them. And it's just disgusting how they think they can just control us. Like, We're not just puppets on their little game show. Like, we're proper fans. We pay our good money to go and watch games on TV and in stadiums, and yeah, we're just not having it. We're not having it, and I love to see it. And as you said, protests will speak loud and clear on this weekend.
Absolutely. Listen, are you going to be there yourself?
I'm going to try to get to the Emirates on Friday. Yeah, I'm going to try to get there. Yeah.
Nice. I looked at the Man United one on Saturday. It's my son's first. We're having a little family get together. I was like, yeah, I can't. I will definitely be kicked out of my home if I'm not here. It's a madness, but it really is. Listen, Ramsey, top man, thank you very much for coming on, having your say. Bro, thank you. We've got Matty on the show now, Chelsea fan. Matty, what are you saying, mate?
How you doing, Terry? You all right?
I'm okay. Give me your thoughts.
Do you know what? It's like a real life George Orwell tale, wasn't it? You know, that everybody wants the power, everybody wanted the greed. And you know what? It's amazing now that football has kind of come back to its natural centre. You know what I mean? Where the fans should be in control of the club, and we have every right to demand what that the club does, because we've supported it. We put money into the club. And at the end of the day, this ESL, I don't think we've seen the last of this. I think they'll try it again, because we've got Perez, who's quite frankly one of the shadiest owners in football. And you know, and I'm just happy that Chelsea. I'm so proud of the Chelsea fans for getting together and protesting about all this, and you know, and pushing the narrative towards the Chelsea board that they need to get out. So I'm dead chuffed.
Yeah, and you should be, as you know, isolated to Chelsea. Of course, you should be, because you know you stood up and did what you did yesterday. And the reason I turn around and say to people, like, everyone's got to not be happy with what they've done, but you know, Leeds fans were outside protesting outside their ground the other day. I'm sure if Liverpool were playing at home on Monday, and they weren't away, they would have been the same thing. Arsenal fans have planned their games Friday. That's when they're planning their protest. And I'm not taking anything away from Chelsea. They deserve credit. But this is a universal thing where all fans from all across the world came together and expressed themselves in every which way they could. And everybody should be proud, I think, in terms of what was achieved in relation to that. But it just can't stop now. There are multiple other things that need reform, change, and more pressure applied to, and I think their football fans take their foot off the neck now. We just settle for this when I think a lot more can be achieved. It would definitely be a shame. Matty, thank you very much for calling in, mate, and having your say. Really do appreciate that, buddy. Really do. Everybody I've got more callers waiting, but I just don't have the time this morning. I'm back later on today with far more coverage, calling sessions and everything else. We are covering the Premier League games later on as well today. So do me a big favor, smash that like button right now. But until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again.